Hello everyone and welcome to this Adobe Illustrator video where today I'll be teaching you about the mesh tool. So what is the mesh tool? The mesh tool lets you blend colors and create contours on your surface of objects to provide depth and color transition. The mesh tool shortcut is U on our keyboard, and it is also used to click within the object or an object to add mesh points. Today, I will use the mesh tool to recreate this banana in an artificial image, and I will use the mesh tool while creating it. Okay, but before we do that, I'll show you what the mesh tool basically does. Okay, now let's say I have a rectangle over here. Okay, and then I just want to create some mesh patches over here. So I'll click on the edges and you can see that we have some lines going across our rectangle. Let's do it vertically also. All right, now let's add some colors over here. In order to add some colors, we just use the direct selection tool. Okay, now let's say I selected this point and I select this color. You can see that it is adding the color over there, and let's say over here I add blue, dark blue. And a little bit of red. So here you can see that the mesh tool is adding our colors and we can see them over here. The best thing about this mesh tool is that we can use it to move our colors in certain directions. Say I want to move it to this direction, I can move it to there. We can move it there, we can move it there. We can also use the handles to create the color that we want, as you can see over here. As you can see, they create perfect anchors for creating our colors. So I want to mix that and this. So this is how you basically use the mesh tool. Okay, now I'll use the mesh tool to recreate this banana. Okay, now first things first, I will create the outline of our banana and then use the mesh tool to add in our colors. So let's start. Let me zoom in for my work. Okay, now let's select this point there. Okay, and then after that let's create this bend over here. Wait, that's a bit too much. Let's do it over here. Okay, now that we have created an outline of our banana, let's move forward with the next step, which is basically we will use a selection tool and then move this outline over here. And now let's say I want this part to be in no fill. Okay, now you can see that the outline over here is perfect. And let me just create the color over here so that it can be easier to be seen. So what I will do, I'll go to our toolbar and then select the eyedropper tool. And you can see that the eyedropper tool's description says that we can copy and apply appearance attributes between objects. So let's click on this. Let's click on a lighter part of the banana. There you go. And now you can see that this part of our banana is colored and it's easier to see. Now what we'll do is we will use the mesh tool and then select the edges of our banana and create a mesh over here. So let's select the mesh tool. After that, I want one mesh to be here, but let me move that picture a bit to the side so that it doesn't collide with this one. Okay, let's make it a bit smaller. Okay, now let's start. Use the mesh tool, create a path over here, and after that over here, here, here. Okay, my bad. Let's use the selection tool to get rid of this part. Let's click on this again and use our mesh tool. Let's click on this edge. There you go. This one. And over here, we'll click on this part. This one. Alright, now that we have selected our mesh, let's go ahead and start coloring our parts. So what we'll do now is use the direct selection tool and select parts of our banana here in order to, whoa, not what I wanted to do. Let's move this picture over here. Zoom in a bit. Okay, now let's use the eyedropper to fix our banana's color. Now on the top you can see that we have this light color. So what I will do is take the lightest one and then put it here. Now let's use direct selection tool to select parts of our banana to make significant color changes. So let me select this part first. Okay, then press shift and press this anchor. And then this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one. Alright, now I will select the eyedropper tool and then color it a bit of this color, or maybe a little bit of this. There you go. Now that I'm done with this part, I will use the direct selection tool again and then select parts over here so that I can add the shadow to my banana. Okay, let's make it a bit of deeper color over here. And like select this part, use the eyedropper tool, create a shadow over here. There you go, there's a bit of a shadow. Let me just create a little bit lighter texture. Okay, all right, after this I'll just select this part over here, the end part over here. So let's select the top part of our banana and make it white. Press shift and select let's make it a bit more light. Okay, after that let's make this part. So what we'll do is use the direct selection tool again, double click on this part and then this part. After that let's also click on this part, then make it a brown color. Then after that I'll again go to the direct selection tool, use the handle, to make the color appear more on the edges instead of the sides. And now as you can see, it is working so far. Okay. Let's zoom in a bit. Let me undo this part again. Okay, now let's just select the... Let's create another mesh over here so that it's easier for us to select it. There you go. Now we don't have to worry about now let's turn it into brown color. So let's take this, select this color, and you can see that it works. After that I'll just use the selection tool, use the handle to push the color upwards. Okay, now it works perfectly. Let's go over here and should be good enough, right? Yeah, it should be good enough. Let's create another mesh. Now let's just use direct selection tool. Select this anchor. Use the handle to push this color that side. Alright, there you go. Just undo the last one. Okay. Now let's zoom out. And afterwards, we will go over here and select these few parts to make it a bit more similar to the color of our banana over here. Okay. Let's use the eyedropper tool again and make it a bit lighter. There you go. Now after that, we will just direct selection tool, and this time we want to make the neck of the base over here, so I'll select this parts over here and this one too. No. Let's unselect that one. Let's select this. Okay, and then use the eyedropper tool to make it into this color. Alright, I made a mistake there. Alright, now let's use the eyedropper. So this part, done. Now let's use the direct selection tool again. Zoom in. Okay, now let's change this color to dark brown. Okay. To the top. Okay, now let's zoom out. And now you'll see when I click outside the artboard that my artificial banana over here is perfect and it looks great. So this is how you basically use the mesh tool in order to create artificial digital photos of your images or objects that you want to create. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.